Sylvester.
Hey there, Sylvester.
Hello, everybody.
Happy Thanksgiving to you. And Paul Frieda.
Howdy.
Hi, Paul Frieda.
How are you?
Okay, how are you?
So.
Oh, only so. Okay.
Well, actually, I've got good news tonight.
Oh, good. Okay. Well, we like good news. We like good news. We'll hang on till about 5 after the hour to see who else comes in.
Okay.
I bet it gets down to 44 at night here, even though it's 80 during the day. I bet it doesn't get that cold in Florida.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. It does get a little, just slightly chilly for a short period of time, but no, it doesn't get that cold.
No, I know. We have more extremes here.
Well, you're more of a desert area, and deserts have wide extremes.
We are, and I'm about 1,000 feet higher than Dennis in Tucson. So
Wow.
that makes a difference. How's Bill Franklin? Are you there, Bill, or did you step away? I think he stepped away. He will be back. Oh, and Gary. Hello, Gary. Hey, Gary. How are you?
Okay, Gary.
Go.
What are you saying something to me?
I just, hello. That's all.
Oh, hello. Well, hello, everybody.
Hello. To you.
Hey, Gary.
We see
Hey.
you come in, and we're just welcoming you. And Joe Blanchette just arrived.
Got a full house tonight.
We're getting there.
Yeah.
We're getting there. Somebody just came in on the telephone.
Hi, Rick. It's John Schofield in Toronto.
Oh, John Schofield. We haven't heard from you for a while. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Rick.
Okay. So, okay. All right. One more minute, and then we'll get underway. One more minute, and we'll get going. Certainly spreading the globe in terms of weather, from Toronto down to South Florida.
I thought we might have a caller from Abu Dhabi tonight, but apparently not.
Yeah, that's right. No, seriously, no.
Oh, wow.
A guy from Abu Dhabi reached out to us on Facebook, and so we added his name to the distribution.
Wow.
And Tebow. Okay, Tebow.
Hello.
Hello. We always like it. We always like it when you're on the line. And hello. And
Hello.
hello. What did the policeman with 3 heads say? This is an English joke. Hello. It's a very...
Are you there?
No, he said hello. He didn't say, are you there?
I am.
All right. And then someone just came in on the telephone. Who was that?
Jeff Ledoux.
Oh, Jeff Ledoux. My goodness.
Another voice from the past we haven't heard from lately.
Past, I know. Thanksgiving, they're coming out of the woodwork. All right. So, what I'm going to ask is, because we're getting a little bit of feedback, so if you could mute when you're not talking, that would be great. I'll go down my list and tell you who I know is here, and then we'll do the old roll call and see who needs some time tonight. So I've got on my list Jake, Bill Franklin, Jay Krukman, Dennis Correa, Peter Kafka, Sylvester, Paul Frieda, Gary, Joel Blanchett, John Schofield, Ivo Lincecum, and Jeff Ledoux. Did I miss anybody? No. Good. Okay. So let's start at the top. This is pretty much in the order that people came on the call, and we will see who needs some time. Jake, for you, any time tonight?
I can discuss my latest blood results.
Okay. Somebody just arrived on the telephone. Who was that?
It's Eric Bookbinder.
Hello, Eric.
Hey,
Hey, Eric.
Okay.
Hey.
So we're just doing the roll call, Eric. So I just started with Jake. So Bill Franklin, any time for you tonight? Oh, I think we'll check in with him when we see his microphone turn green. Jay Krukman, any time for you tonight?
No, I'm good, thank you.
Good. Dennis, anything for you tonight?
Yeah, just about a minute or so. I want to update everybody on a new product I started using, and it works very well.
Great. We always like to hear about new products. Peter Kafka, how about you tonight?
No, nothing tonight.
Okay. Sylvester, anything for you?
No, thank you so much.
Paul Frieda, anything for you?
Yeah, I'll just mention a couple of things. Not very much.
That's okay. We got time. Gary, anything for you tonight?
Nothing for me.
Okay. Joel Blanchett, anything for you tonight?
Oh, thank you.
Okay. Boy, you're a quiet lot. John Schofield, you must have something because we haven't heard from you for ages.
Yeah, I could provide a quick update. Absolutely.
Good. Okay. Thibaut, any time for you tonight?
No, nothing much.
Okay. You're not going to give us a quick update on how you're doing on that bone marrow? We want to hear whether anybody...
No major changes, but I can give you a few new
Okay.
details.
No major changes is good, but so we will probably have time. Jeff Ledoux, how about you tonight?
Yes, please.
Okay. All right. Eric, anything for you tonight? Eric? Are you on mute, Eric? Maybe he stepped away from the phone. Larry Fish, anything for you?
I'm muting. No, I'm okay, thanks. I'm still in my same limbo.
Okay. So let me just check again. Bill Franklin, are you back with us? No. And Eric, are you there? Okay. So we'll check with Eric, and we'll check with Bill Franklin again in a few minutes. Okay, and have I missed anybody? Did anybody else sneak in whilst we were going through the roll call? I don't think so. All right, Jake, kick us off with the results of these blood tests.
Okay. Well, it was last Thursday at my oncologist. She does every month. My PSA is holding at 0.5, which thrills me to death. That's as low as it's ever been. It probably will ever be. So I'm happy when it's that low. At your suggestion, Rick, I did get the D25 hydroxy test, and it came in at 50, and the range is 30 to 100. So I guess that's okay. I have started taking vitamin D supplementation, 5,000 IUs a day. See if that'll help, and I'm going to start doubling up on my calcium because my calcium is low, still lower than it was last time.
Okay.
A couple other readings were out of whack. One was high, some were high, some were low. But the calcium, I think, is the most concerning one.
How low was the calcium?
7.8.
Hello.
Yeah, I'd like to give you some of my calcium if you'd like to take it, because I can get under about 11. So we have.
Yeah, yours is on the high side, yeah.
Yeah, mine has always been high.
Well, I'm going to double up on the calcium and vitamin D pill, plus hopefully the 5,000 IUs of vitamin D will help with the absorption of it.
See, here's the thing. I mean, it's hard to overdose with vitamin D, but with 50, you're right in the sweet spot. So you're where you need to be. If you are only concerned with your vitamin D, then if it were me, I probably would be taking just 400 or 500 a day. Maybe 1,000 in the winter because you're not getting anything from the light. But probably no more than that. At the same time, you're doing it because you want to absorb more calcium, and I don't know if that works. I don't know if you're already at a healthy level of vitamin D, whether taking
normal is 30 to 100. Well, according to the blood test.
Yeah, normal is 30 to 100. But basically, if you're in the 40 to 60 range, that's the sweet spot. So, you could be a little higher, but you're certainly not low, which is great. Really good.
Right.
Because I keep reading more and more things about the importance of vitamin D. Although I did read something this week that says that they don't think it makes any difference to the incidence of cancer, but at the same time, I've always noticed that people that when they first get diagnosed and have never supplemented seem to be really low. I mean, anecdotally, I was, and countless other people have been. So, but you might want, before you start loading up too high on the calcium, you might just want to check with your on the vitamin D. You might just want to check with your PCP and ask him whether, if you're already at 50, whether taking higher doses of vitamin D is going to help you absorb calcium. It's not going to hurt you, but I don't know if it'll help you.
Right. Well, I do know that bisphosphonates can cause hypocalcemia. Denosumab and Zometa. So maybe just doubling up on the calcium pill every day.
That could be.
Will make a difference.
That might make the difference.
Yeah. But like you said, it probably won't hurt to take the vitamin D, and I'll see if it brings up my calcium. If it doesn't, then I'll stop it after a month.
Okay. All right.
That's unreasonable?
Yeah. I mean,
the other one I'm concerned.
I would just check. I would ask your PCP though. I would just send him a note and say, or her a note and say, if I increase my vitamin D and my level is at 50, is it going to make any difference to how I absorb my calcium? Just ask them, because we don't know.
Okay.
It's always better. I always feel it's better to ask than to just assume, because we don't know. I mean, some things we do know, like, it's not going to hurt you taking that much vitamin D. That's been shown, and we've got guys we had somebody on the call last time who takes 5,000 a day. So, that works. That works fine.
I think one of the other markers that's always important I know Dr. Steve always talks about is the alkaline phosphatase.
Yes.
Mine is pretty good, 49. It's actually lower than it usually is. When I first found out I had prostate cancer, it was like 100. And now it's down to 49, and that's a good sign.
Right. That is
when it comes to bone mets.
that is a good sign. Okay. Anybody want to have any questions for Jake or want to ask him about these results?
Jake, are you taking, I didn't even know about this until recently, there's chelated calcium, which is apparently more easily absorbable. I never knew there was any difference between, but this is what someone at a health food store pointed out to me not long ago. This chelated, CHELATED, and supposedly it's more easily absorbable.
Oh, okay. You guys always wanted to give me homework. I'll have to look that up and check it out. I've been taking just the regular Caltrate, I think it is. It's got vitamin D and calcium together, but I'll see about the chelated.
Yeah, right. And it's
is that what you take, John?
It's often I just started taking it. Yeah. And then of course it's often combined with magnesium, right? In a lot of supplements. I don't know if that makes it more easily absorbable. And then of course the vitamin D helps you absorb it as well. But
yeah, somebody says I read somewhere. Every time Rick says something, I have to go look it up and do some research. And then you get into all these. You can get really into the weeds on this stuff, and a lot of places say that you need to take vitamin K also when you take vitamin D.
Yes, that's what I've been doing that as well. Yeah.
I'm not sure what that does.
I heard that it. Someone told me, it just helps it get into the bones and the teeth, and I think that's a good idea. I certainly, that's what I've been doing anyway.
Okay. What kind of calcium readings do you have?
My last, just before, because I just finished radiation treatment and I've been on Lupron. My last bone density was normal. So I don't know if it's been a while since I actually got a calcium blood level, but so I'm not exactly sure what that is, but I'm going to be doing a complete blood count in a week or so.
Yeah, usually I think the calcium is part of the CBC, I believe.
Okay, right.
No, I'm sorry. Part of the comprehensive metabolic panel is what they call it.
Right, not the CBC.
Oh, okay.
But I would say this, and I've said it many times before, and it always gets stressed at whatever conference you go to, is don't take supplements without knowing your underlying level. So if you're going to take a calcium supplement, make sure you know what your calcium is before you start and whether you need or you don't need. Just don't take it just because it sounds like a good idea.
Right. Well, mine is definitely low, so I do need it.
Right, but in John's case, if you don't know, for example, you could be somebody like myself that naturally makes large amounts of calcium, so you don't want to supplement your calcium.
Right.
And,
because too much can affect your arteries and your heart, and right.
Well, and you finish up making stones. And stones,
right, exactly.
Not just kidney stones, but you can make stones in your prostate. You can make stones in your gallbladder. You can make stones in a number of different places. So you really, it's a bad idea to supplement anything without knowing what the level is in your body. Selenium, vitamin E, all these things that at times we've heard, these are really important to supplement.
Yeah.
Sometimes they can cause more harm than than good if you supplement and you're already at healthy levels.
And if you're on ADT, you can't, even then, you can't necessarily assume that you should be supplementing?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, absolutely not. I mean, I was on ADT
Right.
for 2.5 years, and my calcium level was high right the way through.
Huh. Wow.
So,
Yeah, I better look into that then.
So, don't just run into the store and take a whole bunch of things because you think it's supposed to be good. There's different opinions as to whether a multivitamin is good or bad. I mean, we just heard at the conference at UCSF that it was a good idea to take a multi, and they found it to be beneficial. But a couple of years ago, they said they didn't find it to be beneficial, and we can't exactly figure out whether it is or it isn't. I can't actually look for that research right now, but if anybody's interested and they want to know more about this multi, I'll see if I can find it. It was in the abstract that I sent out last week, but I forget what number it was. But yes.
From what I've seen, Rick, on multivitamins, generally the consensus that I've seen is that if you take too many of a certain vitamin, certain ones are dangerous if you take too much, but other ones, if your body doesn't need it, you just piss them away.
Right.
They're basically just wasted. They're,
right.
A lot of people say they're a waste of money.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
They go away in your urine and you just, pissed away literally a lot of money.
There you go.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So there's a bonus prize at stake if anybody can tell me what chelated means, because I often hear the word chelated, and it's still very unclear to me what chelated means.
Well, I've heard it in terms of cancer. There's a chelation therapy in cancer that was proven to be no good. One of those Mexican specialized treatments, chelation therapy, and that was supposed to be no good. But I'm sure that's something different than what John's talking about.
I happen to be in front of the computer. I just checked it quickly. It says calcium. Oh, okay. This is one particular product. Calcium is chelated with glycine, an important amino acid in human nutrition to promote absorption. I don't know if that's common practice with chelation. I don't know.
Okay, I don't know. I'm not exactly sure what chelated means. Maybe it means combined with or attached to or something like that. I don't know.
Right.
It's a chemical reaction.
It's a chemical reaction.
It joins two or more components. Calcium can be chelated with, as I say, glycine. And that's one of the things they use to enhance some of these chemicals.
So when you say, so Jeff, if I see something like chelated calcium, it means it's calcium with something else.
That's correct. And it should read that on the label.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. Ziggy, there was a reason you came on this call tonight.
Yeah, I'm just a chemist, that's all.
Checks in the mail, Jeff.
Yeah, our regular pharmacist, who probably could have answered that, is taking Italian lessons on a Monday night for another couple of weeks. So we have to wait for Len to come back from his Italian lessons. I told him he can't make Italian lessons for a Monday night going forward. So
the other thing you might want to consider with calcium is vitamin C and iron. Because D3. Let me back up a second. Vitamin C, vitamin B12, all enhance the absorption of calcium.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay. All right. Well, like I say, know your levels. I mean, bees are, I think, sometimes can be good and sometimes can be bad. So I know that again, C, it's hard to take too much of C because you just get rid of it. I'm just not sure about bees. But that's why it's always good to ask your doctors about taking supplements. But if it helps you absorb, that's certainly a positive. All right. Anything else on vitamins before we move on? Okay. Let's hear about this new product from Dennis.
Yeah, one of the things that I started having since my cancer treatments and was leg cramps, which I only very, very rarely had gotten them in the past, and I get a lot more of them now, probably 2 to 3 times a month, probably. Sometimes when I'm sitting or driving for a long time in traffic, I'll get a leg cramp, sort of like a shin splint up in the lower part of my leg and the front part of the leg. Mm-hmm. And then other times I've gotten these cramps in my calves at night while I'm sleeping, and it's progressive. It starts to come on, and if I don't do something about it right away, sometimes I've tried stretching out of it. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But if it progresses, it gets so bad that my foot actually starts twisting in an odd direction. It goes right from my leg into my foot. So one of the things, matter of fact, I read this in, is it Moyad's, who's that book that you gave me?
Yeah, Moyad.
Moyad, yeah. There was something in there about, you could try this Highlands leg cramp ointment. And the only place you could get is you can get it on the internet. And I did order it through Amazon. And you can get it as a tablet that you take, but I didn't want it with all the other stuff I'm taking. I said, well, an ointment can't hurt. So I got some, and sure enough, my wife and I were out, and I've been driving for a while, maybe a couple hours, and I started to get this cramp in my lower leg. So I give me the ointment. Just put about a pea size of it on my finger, and I reached down and rubbed it on my leg, and I'll be darned if it just, first I could tell it progresses so rapidly. So when I first put it on, I could feel that it wasn't progressing. And then within a minute or two, it was almost completely gone. So at least in my case, it works. I don't know if anybody else has had a problem with leg cramps, but it worked like a charm.
Fantastic. What's it called again?
Highlands, Hylands,
mm-hmm.
leg cramp ointment.
Fantastic. And where did you find it?
Amazon.com.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, I just Googled it, and at first I thought I'd try local pharmacy or something. I might be able to find it.
Right.
But you can get this both in a tablet form. Something I guess for people that really have a lot of it, and I don't know if you take it as a preventative or what in that type situation. Mm-hmm. But I thought, well, I'd try the ointment and just see how that works, and it worked. I mean, just as it claimed, which was actually kind of surprising. But for what it cost, I figured I'd try it. I think it was about $20 or something like that for a tube of this stuff, and it cost me almost as much for shipping as it for the product itself. But that's the only deal, as far as I know. You can only buy this thing online.
Well, it's good to know, because as you know, I'm a fellow cramp sufferer. So, and sometimes it's absolutely crippling. So,
yeah.
Anybody else want to talk or ask Dennis about this product, this leg cramp product?
I'd like to throw a couple of things out, if I may.
Please.
Number one is eat a banana. I've been doing that most noons, and the potassium in the banana will help counteract cramping. The second thing I've got is I use Tiger Balm, and I'd be thankful for 1 or 2 nights a month that I'd have cramps. It's almost every night. 2 things that I do. One is I get up and I walk on it. The other thing is I use Tiger Balm. And the Tiger Balm just works like a charm. Rub it on, and there you are. It's almost instantaneous, like the stuff that the Highland leg cramp relief. It almost works that fast, and you just put a little bit on. So
Yeah,
I'll shut up now.
I've used Tiger Balm for arthritis and stuff, and I like the stuff. It's got a strong, a little bit of a strong odor to it. The Highlands has it's odorless, which is another nice thing about it. And the potassium, I'm aware of that because I do, particularly when I'm going to be active, I will either take bananas with me, or I also have found that a coconut water has a lot of potassium in it. It's they say one of these little this whatever it is, coconut water container, little carton of it. You drink that, and it supposedly has about 3 times the amount of that you'd get from eating a banana. So,
are you guys talking about? Are you guys talking about cramps like in your calf or in the bone, like your shin bone?
I get it
down
both.
the front of my shin, down the back of my shin, and in my hamstrings. I mean, it can show up almost anywhere.
And when you use it, where do you rub it?
Right on where the cramp
when you use
is.
It, oh, okay, well that makes sense. Duh. Okay.
No, it's a direct application. The one thing you have to kind of watch out for with potassium, and I ran into this when I was on chemo. They had to put me on calcium reduction because potassium can kill. You get too much potassium, you can run into a real problem. So here again, you have to know your level.
Yeah, I've heard that also recently. You can't overdo the coconut water.
The one thing that I remember, I used to work in research, and the way we would dispatch some of our subjects is a shot of potassium chloride. And that way, well, they were subjects too. So there you are. I don't do that anymore.
Well, I mean, I can tell you, being a long time sufferer of cramps from going back when I was a teenager and athletic, that sometimes these cramps are so crippling. And I had an evening like that earlier this year where you can't even get up to walk. I mean, they're so bad, and they move right the way in, not just in your thigh and your calf, but they go into your feet and your toes, and it's just miserable.
Right.
So it's probably good to keep that Highland stuff in your bedside table, and so you can grab it, because I know, I mean, I couldn't even it took me 20 minutes to get to the kitchen just to get some water one night earlier this year. So they can be really, really intense. Certainly the cramps that I get can be really intense. But that's a good thought. I've used Tiger Balm for years. I never thought of rubbing it into a cramp, but maybe it works. Okay. Larry Fish posted a link to a short article on vitamin D, which is sort of easy to understand. I'm not sure how much it really tells us, other than, again, stressing that you've got to know your levels, and it suggests that we should know why our vitamin D levels are low. But I'm not sure it gives us any good suggestions as to why. I've only scanned it quickly. Larry, does it tell us why our vitamin D levels are low, other than not getting enough sunshine?
After they go through the risks and the rewards, in the end they say, to be careful, you just take 1,000 to 2,000. That although 5,000 doesn't seem to create problems, nobody really knows, how that interacts with the other fat solubles.
Right.
But they say that like a safe level, 1,000 to 2,000 a day when your levels are normal.
Yeah, I think
That's sort of the conclusion. You don't need 5,000 unless you're low.
Yeah, exactly. I agree with that. Yeah.
I should back this up just for a second.
Yeah.
Although I'm no longer an authority, I did study clinical nutrition at UC Berkeley. I was a registered dietitian. I used to give advice, but that was a long time ago, 30 years. I'm not into the current nutritional world.
Oh, you've been keeping that close to the chest, Mr.
Well, because I'm not up to date on all the fancy stuff going on.
Okay.
But at one time, I did do that. That was my graduate school.
Okay. All right. Now we know. The cat's out the bag now.
But that means that I would certainly say that 1,000 to 2,000 a day is a really safe level.
Okay.
And there are complexities when you start to getting into mega doses of how the fat solubles interact.
Yeah.
Whereas the water solubles are safer to play with.
Yeah. Do you recall anything on that issue with B12? Doesn't that have something to do with the amino acids? Doesn't vitamin B interact with the amino acids? Or am I confusing that with something else?
I don't want to take a position on that.
Okay. Is that like pleading the fifth?
No, I don't really remember the details that much. I mean,
okay.
When I was in school, it was about Linus Pauling, vitamin C, and everyone was running around taking vitamin E for sexual monkeys, and that all sort of went to the wayside.
Okay. All right. All right. Before we move on to Paul, anybody else want to talk about cramps?
No, this is Peter.
I was getting this. I guess these were more pains. I guess I was taking Cialis for a while, and it was giving me terrible leg pains. I guess they weren't really cramps, but that was. I had heard this theory that, on ADT, if you take something like Cialis or Levitra, it helps to keep blood going into the penis, to prevent atrophy. But yeah, so I had to stop taking it because the leg pains were so bad.
Yeah, I've heard that before. And Peter, do you want to say something?
I just want to put a plug in for Dr. Moyad. This, I think we all have been so many recommendations for different snake oil treatments. From the day we were diagnosed. Take this, take that. This will cure prostate cancer. This will reduce recurrence and so forth. But this guy actually takes the time to look up the research and figure out what actually works and what doesn't work and what's bogus and not. He's an amazing source and he can cut through a lot of the crap when you're looking for the right supplement or the right addition for your diet. So I'm impressed with the work that he does in some of his books.
Peter, do you have his new book at hand? I'm just looking for it right now, but I don't see where I put it, and I just want
supplement book. That the one you're talking about?
Which one?
His supplement book?
I'm talking about the one that they just gave out at PCRI. Does that ring a bell? No?
Promoting wellness beyond hormone therapy.
Yeah, that's it. What's it called again?
promoting wellness beyond hormone therapy.
Right. So I just have to say somebody's turned up a little bit loud because we're getting a sort of scratchy feedback the whole time. I'm not sure where it's from, but if you are noticing it and you can turn your volume down a little bit, it would be great. Yeah, that's the one.
I think it's actually you, Rick.
I think it's me.
I think it's you. Yeah.
All right. Well, I will turn my volume down. Okay.
I turned mine down.
Yeah. Okay. So
Anyway, if you want the third edition of Beyond Hormone Therapy,
right.
2018, Mark Moyad.
Right. That's the one. I don't know.
Yeah.
I know where it is. I've got a bunch of them. So I gave one to Dennis, but I know where they are. I just remember where I put them. Yeah, but there's good information in there, and Peter's right. And he does a good job. He does a good job on the research. I agree with you, Peter.
Yeah, he's not a snake oil salesman. He's there to help us all kind of find our way through this.
Right. Right. Okay. So anything else? So we'll move on to Paul. Paul, you're up.
Well, good news is that I'm at my 2-year point now on Lupron, and I had always been under the impression that typically you get like 2 to 3 years on Lupron, and so I thought I was at the point where now I'm going to start going downhill, and at any month it might fail. And to my astonishment, my doctor went over some things about my lymph nodes and the things that he discovered when I first came in, and he said to me, which really made me happy. He said, I'd be astonished if you didn't get 4 or 5 years out of the Lupron. And he didn't say, I think you will. He was like nearly certain. So it was a tremendous amount of good news for me, because I really thought that I was, nearing the point where any month now I would, the Lupron would fail, and it still could. He could be wrong, but that was something that I was quite unexpected in my meeting with him this week, and so it's some good news to report. Bad news is that I'm having a lot of trouble controlling my weight. I hit 270 not too long ago, and my legs are swollen, and in addition to that, I've got really bad back pain. But the good news is that I might get a lot more survival than I thought.
So let's take one by one. I mean, I think as we discussed in last week, men do get a lot of time out of Lupron. There was somebody on the call, I forget who had been on it for 7 years, I think, or 8 years, even 10 years. So we gave you a heads up on that one.
Well, someone with a Gleason 6, you can understand that, but I'm Gleason 8.
Yeah, but that guy wasn't a real Gleason 6. He didn't know what his post pathology was. So he wasn't a Gleason 6. That I can pretty much tell you, because there's only about, I think the number is 0.16% in the big study who are true Gleason 6s who experienced metastasis. So the likelihood was he wasn't a Gleason 6. Who knows? He could have been a Gleason 8 on his post-op, but as he told us, he didn't have his post-op pathology. It was Bill Whittemore, you're reminding me now. But there were other people on that call also, so who were Gleason 8s that had gotten quite a long time out of it. You could listen to the call again. I think your doc only confirms what we told you, which is every man's different. and there's no reason to think that you wouldn't get quite a bit more time out of it. The weight is troubling because we do know that a side effect of the ADT is metabolic syndrome, and you need to be working closely with your doc to address that, because if your weight's that high, there's a concern about other issues, sugar, cholesterol, etc., etc. What are your levels like with your sugar and your cholesterol?
My cholesterol is, like 160. I make a concerted effort to eat very, very little sugar. I think my glucose came in this time at 90 or something like that, which was, pretty reasonable. It was a little high the last time, but I don't think I had fasted.
Right.
And it came back down this time. So, and I know also one time I had a complete physical with the head of a department in a hospital, and he somewhere near the end of his examination, he looked at all my data and he looked me right in the eye and he says, "I can tell you for sure that you will never get diabetes." And I didn't ask him why, because I knew I wouldn't understand his technical reasons. But something about the combination of my blood work and whatnot, he felt that I was not at risk at all for diabetes.
Mm-hmm. Was this before or after you were on ADT?
Oh, that's before. This was I think this was, what was this? I think this was the examination before my TERP.
Okay. Well,
yeah, which is way a long time ago. That's like 2011.
Right. I mean, the only thing that I would want to say is that the ADT does change your body chemistry. So it is something that you need to be really concerned about, and something which, hopefully that Dr. Schwartzberg had some input on. I mean, what did he say to you about the weight issues?
We actually didn't talk about that. We talked more about the issue of radiation, whether I should do radiation or not. And he wasn't opposed to it. He didn't think there was a good chance that I would really benefit from it very much. But anyway, he gave me he referred me to a doctor that he likes very much. And he suggested a couple of radiation doctors, and I said, listen, I don't want to just, go in front of a radiation doctor and get sold, because that's what they're going to do. They're most likely are going to try and get you to do the radiation. But he felt that this particular person was very level-headed, because they're more in the academic area than the clinical area. And so I've got to make an appointment to see her and get her opinion on whether we should radiate the bed or just radiate my lymph nodes or what, or not doing any radiation at all.
Right. So before going, one thing I really would encourage you to do, though, is and really this is something that Schwartzberg should be addressing, is your weight issues, because they're a direct side effect of the ADT. And it's sort of disappointing to me that he didn't raise it. What do you?
Well, you have to. I carry it really well, and I don't think I even specifically mentioned it to him. I think I just in passing said I'm having a little trouble controlling my weight. But when you look at me, because I'm very athletic, you look at me. I don't look like a big fat old man. I just look like a guy who's just slightly paunchy, and
right.
So there are a lot of old people around here where I live. And I go to the Publix and I see countless people that look like you wonder how they can walk down the end of the aisle, and I'm nothing like that. But still, 270 is pretty scary.
What sort of exercise are you doing, Paul?
That's the problem. I got a double whammy. Number one, the metabolism slowed, but my back is an unbelievably difficult problem for me right now. I'm I'm not quite bad. Every time I get up or sit down, I almost scream, and I'm trying heat pads. I'm trying ice. Try to stretch a little bit as best I can. But I've had back problems all my life, but right now it's pretty bad.
Okay.
And I actually went to get a cortisone shot a couple months ago, and the doctor is so damn incompetent that the cortisone shot didn't work. And anyway, I've got several problems to work out, and if I want to improve my probabilities, and but anyway, hopefully Dr. Schwartzberg's right, and he thinks I'm going to get quite a bit of time out of the Lupron.
Well, I would obviously your back is an issue. I mean,
yeah,
one thing,
exercising. Yeah, I can't even walk to the mailbox pretty much.
Well, but you see, this is one of the reasons why I think you're probably putting on weight. What about a reclining stationary bicycle?
A what?
A reclining stationary bicycle.
I actually bought one several months ago, and I used it for a number of weeks, and then I don't remember what it was that happened, but then my back really went out, and now it's very difficult for me to use it. So I'm hoping that now, like I say, I've had back problems all my life, and eventually somehow the body seems to work it out. And I'm hoping that at some point I'll turn the corner. And one thing I should mention, I'm a person who doesn't like to take medicine, and so I'll frequently go through a day with a lot of pain without ever taking any aspirin or ibuprofen. When I do take the aspirin or ibuprofen, it does mitigate it quite a bit. And I'm just reluctant to live my life every day taking those pills. But I'm hopeful that the back pain will get fade away to where I can start to do exercise again, and I'm praying that I'm not going to need surgery or anything like that. So between the weight and the back problem, I've got my hands full.
Well, yeah, I understand, but they're probably interrelated. And so if somebody could please turn down, maybe Paul, it might be you, if you could just turn down your volume a tad, because we're getting some feedback. The problems are interrelated. Let me throw it out. Who else has had issues with weight and back and what have you, especially after you've gone on ADT? Anyone else on the call can offer Paul?
Yeah, I have.
Thoughts? Go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah, I have had issues with my ability to walk, also gaining weight, and I was pounding the pounds right to me. But recently, since I've gone on the Zytiga, my weight is actually coming down. I've dropped probably 5 pounds in the last couple of weeks, and I'm not doing anything differently as far as my diet. Exercise, I am trying to exercise more. Sometimes I am, sometimes I'm not. But the weight still seems to be coming off. Don't know why.
And how did you manage your weight when you were having back problems and you couldn't exercise? Do you have any?
I just cut back on the number of calories in, because calories in equals pounds on. If you reduce, it takes about 3,300 calories to reduce 1 pound. So that's the number that you can shoot for. You look at what you eat in a day and you add it all up, and 3,300 calories, 1 more pound, or 1 pound off.
Right. In times when I've lost weight, I found that exercise helps a lot, but really controlling the amount that you eat is really the big factor. Assuming you're not eating fatty food, you're not eating, you're not being irresponsible with, what you eat. And one of the things I found is that it's very easy to eat a half meal. You know, you take any meal that you've got, cut it in half, you know, and get the other half out of sight, and then just eat slowly, and you really don't notice any difference at the end of the meal, but you've cut your calories in half, you know, and I'm pretty good at doing that.
Very good idea.
Anyone else want to weigh in on this one?
Have any of you considered, would it help to, well, this is pretty drastic. I changed to a vegan diet soon after I was diagnosed. I don't know if it helped me at all, but my feeling is that it's healthier, and I think for some people it helps them reduce weight, but it's pretty drastic, of course.
Well, I've considered doing that. My wife makes salads for me, and I'm considering dropping all of the meat out of my diet. And I have a good friend who was kind of you know, paunchy when we were kids, and once he dropped meat out of his diet, he became a skinny guy, you know. And he doesn't do very much exercise. So I might try that as one of the things I should do. I really need to lose, you know, a good 50 pounds. That's no easy thing to do. So.
And would that help the back, probably?
Yeah, that would also help the back. There's no doubt about it, I'm sure. And it also, you know, help my circulation, and you know, my legs are swollen, and you know, so
So, Paul, I'd like to make a suggestion for you to follow through on, and we'll probably ask you again about this, but why not speak to your primary care physician and ask them for a referral to a registered dietitian, and see if you can't work on getting a good plan that will keep you comfortable and satiated in terms of what you're eating, will address the type of diet you should be maintaining for your prostate cancer, and help you lose weight. But I'm sure that at 270 pounds, the PCP is not going to stand in the way of you meeting with a registered dietitian.
Yeah, that's a good suggestion. I certainly need all the help I can get.
I mean,
another idea. I don't know what your finances are or what your situation is, but joining a gym and signing up with a personal trainer to keep you on track. You know, someone will really hold your feet to the fire, and you'll know that, and you're committed to go because you're paying for it. And you just it can help you quite a bit if you've got.
Well, I can't afford a personal trainer, but if when my back will permit it, I have thought about joining a an exercise club, you know, a fitness center. And you know, and then once you get into the habit of, you know, going there 2 or 3 times a week, you know, it's pretty easy to get exercise that you wouldn't get. So yes, that's one of the things that you know, that's on my list after when I can get over the back problem, for sure, no doubt about it.
Well,
okay, I could weigh in for a second on this.
Please do.
So the first thing is full disclosure, losing 50 pounds is probably, other than living, is probably my #1 goal, despite the fact that I was a registered dietitian and just stopped paying. And the rule of thumb you said is right, 500 calories a day less, 3,500 calories a week, a pound a week. Most diets are trying to cut between 500 and 1,000 to lose 1 to 2 pounds a week. And that works for a little while, but in general, for most people, it doesn't work over a long period of time. You can lose 5, 10, 15, some people 20, keep it off for 3-5 years. Usually it comes back unless you add the exercise, unless you end up together with diet and exercise. And my suggestion was, what about with a back problem? What about doing exercise in water? What about swimming?
Yeah, we do have a pool.
That seems like a great,
Yeah, that's that has been suggested to me. We do have a pool that I can go to, and just walking in the pool, the resistance of the pool can really do you good, and the buoyancy really makes your back feel better. So yeah, that's another thing. I really need to do all this stuff, because this is getting serious. If I were to just slip a little bit, I can see how I could end up at 300 pounds, and I don't know why I'm laughing, but I mean, it's hard for me. You got to remember, I was an athlete most of my life, and this is just really does not fit with my self-image, so.
Okay, so I'd like to suggest something to you, another idea for you with the gym, and I realize that it's contingent on your back, but I think Larry's suggestion of water exercise is really an excellent suggestion, because there are all kinds of aerobic classes and goodness knows what available in the water. Now, as most of you are aware, we're right in the middle of the Medicare switching period. I don't know, I forget the technical term, but you can choose your Medicare plan for the coming year. And a lot of the Medicare supplement plans have automatic memberships to gymnasiums.
Right.
So it doesn't cost you.
Into that, yeah.
It doesn't cost you anything. If you're on, for example, I know you're with Mutual Omaha, but I know that with the United Healthcare ARC plans, they come with what's called it used to be called Silver Sneakers. They're changing the name this year to Omni, but it comes with membership. Now, there are 3 gyms around here that I can use. I can use, including the JCC in Tucson, which is a fantastic facility with a beautiful swimming pool. But I would urge you to first of all check your existing Mutual of Omaha plan and see if it includes a gym membership. My guess is it probably will.
Yeah, it's the supplemental plan that would include it.
Well,
not Medicare itself?
Not necessarily. I mean, right now, for at least the next 2 months, I'm on an Advantage plan. It includes it in that. So it could be the supplement. It could be one of the supplemental plans. It could be one of the Advantage plans. But all of these Medicare plans, if you're buying something to supplement your Medicare, whether it's the Advantage plan, whether it's the supplemental plan, the chances are it will include some sort of a gym membership at no extra cost.
Right.
And once you've got that gym membership, you can get in, you can go down there, you can go to the pool, you can take classes in the pool. So the other thing are the Livestrong at the Y, but I just looked and there are no Ys that are close to you in Bullington Beach. But at the same time, I'm sure that there are a bunch of gyms that participate, and my bet is that you're probably eligible for the Silver Sneakers plan or the Omni plan, whatever you want to call it this year.
The Silver Sneakers?
Silver Sneakers is what it's been called to date. But call up Mutual of Omaha tomorrow. Or, last time we spoke, you said you were going to look at the United Healthcare ARC plan. Did you do that?
No, I'm reluctant to change from Mutual Omaha because I want to make sure that I can go to any doctor in the country if and when I need to do that.
Well, you can do that. You can do that with the United Healthcare. Shop the prices.
Okay. And who do you get the United Health? You're talking about who do you get the United Healthcare supplemental with? United Healthcare. I mean, is it you just call that company?
You get the supplement. It's the ARP plan, AARP plan, and it's with United Healthcare.
Oh, I see. Just join ARP, and then they've got it. Okay.
But you don't even need to join the ARP. You can look it up online.
Okay.
And you can put in your zip code. You can see what plans are there for you. You can compare the price. I just did it an hour ago because I want to see what certain plans will cost me next year. My Advantage plan is going to cost me $12 a year next year. Now, there's some gaps in the coverage. For example, on that Advantage plan, I have to pay 20% of any fancy radiology procedures. So that, God forbid I needed any fancy radiology, that could get expensive. But by and large, $12 a month gives me a lot of extra to spend on the places where there are gaps in the coverage. Alternatively, I can spend $100 a month and I can get coverage with any doc anywhere in the country.
I'm spending $300 a month.
Well, that's why I'm telling you to. I mean, it's probably going to be different in different parts of the country, but that's why I'm telling you to follow up with United Healthcare. That's what I said to you a couple of weeks ago.
Okay.
I mean, you just got to do this, man, because you're gonna, if you don't do it before December 7th, you're stuck for another year. And
December 7th.
Right. You've got to make the switch before December 7th. And the thing is that all of the plans have the same type of coverage. There are definitely plans, and you've got to watch out because some of the plans charge you a lot more just to cover the Medicare deductible, which is only a couple of $100. So
right.
you can finish up paying an extra $30 a month. And in fact, your exposure is probably only $200 a month. So there are a lot of different plans, and you can call up the company and they'll work. They've got all these people that work you through it, help you sort out. But it's really, really important. Everybody on the call, certainly if you're eligible for Medicare, then there's no pre-existing conditions issue. It's easy to switch and shop around. And the one thing I can tell you about United Healthcare when it comes to covering fancy procedures and specialized drugs is that they are excellent. Where I've had issues with them personally is that I don't find their website accurate in terms of the doctors that they list, and that has been frustrating. And I've had a heck of a time finding a PCP around here. But I will say that their coverage for men that I know that have used them is fantastic, and they're easy to work with. So I think it's I'll tell you then. Hold on a minute, and I'll tell you the name of the website. It's you go to AARPmedicareplans.com. ARPmedicareplans.com. I'll try and put it in the chat window.
Okay.
ARPmedicareplans.com. And look at the alternatives and see if it's cheaper than $300, but more important, see if it comes with a gym membership.
Yeah.
And
okay.
if you've got a plan like that right now, you're certainly covered to go see a dietitian.
Right.
But some of this,
well, I can see anybody. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, some of this is up to you. I mean, don't just sit there and watch your weight balloon, because it's just not healthy, and it really gives me some concern on your behalf, because it's not heart healthy.
Right. You're right. Well, listen, I appreciate all the time tonight. Thank you very much.
Pleasure.
And all the suggestions. Thank you very much.
Okay, we'll be on your case about it, so you better follow up.
Okay, I will.
Okay. I just want to check in. Bill Franklin, are you back with us?
Yeah, Rick, I've been here for a little while.
Sorry,
I've just been listening.
Yeah, we checked in with you early, but you weren't there. But I would just want to make sure if you needed any time or not tonight.
No, I'm good. I just been in and out of the room, doing some stuff with the kids. We're going on a trip tomorrow, so we got a few things to take care of.
Where are you going?
We're going to go spend a few days in Orlando with my family.
Oh, good. Okay. I hope you have fun. I hope you I hope you don't eat too much turkey. Wait,
I probably will.
listen, you're an athlete, and you've had some weight issues with ADT. I mean, how have you managed it?
I did have weight issues. I'm heavier than I want to be right now, but because of the plantar fasciitis has been, keeping me from doing some of the things. But what you guys were talking about earlier, as far as the swimming or working out in a pool and the exercise bike. So I would say echo what other people said. Calorie restriction is a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
Cutting down on your calories and counting calories. Knowing what you're putting in your mouth all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I work in an environment where there's constant. I go to meetings, I go to get-togethers, just little group things, and there's always something on the table. It's pretzels or it's bagels or it's just there's always something to snack on. So you got to be careful what you're doing. But yeah, my weight went up over 240. So I'm 5'9", so that was a little heavy for me.
Mm-hmm.
But I've been down. I'm hovering around 210, and I really want to get below 200 again. So just got to up the game, exercise.
Right.
Bill, I have a suggestion for you. Did you conquer the plantar fasciitis yet?
No, I have not. It's chronic, and I've been trying all kinds of stuff. So
okay, I went through that a number of years ago. I'm a tennis player, and I got to a point where it was like if I sat down to watch TV, it would take me 5 minutes before I could walk. And I tried everything: custom orthotics, the exercise, device. I tried everything. And then one day I just said, "The hell with this," and I just sat down. And I said, "If my feet could talk to me, what would they say?" And the answer came very quickly. I would like to walk on pillows. And so what I did is I went out and bought shoes that were twice my, not twice, at least 2 sizes larger than what I needed. And then I put as many Dr. Scholl's pads in as I could. And I felt like I had these big clodhoppers on my feet at first, but I got used to it. And the problem went away in like about 3 days.
3 days, huh?
Yeah, it went away very quickly. I mean, it might have been a week, but I went away really, really quickly. I saw, but it did take a number of days to get used to walking around in this shoe that was huge,
Right.
But I turned out that was all in my head, that I was thinking that it would be hard. And once, I don't know, a week or something later, it was nothing to it, and the soft Dr. Scholl's pads relieved, the plantar fasciitis just went away. But I struggled with it for must have been 6 months or something until I did that, and that solved the problem. So I don't know, you might try that.
Yeah.
Anything's worth a try.
Bill, he forgot to mention that he also joined Barnum and Bailey. That's why he moved down to Florida.
So he had clown shoes on, huh?
Well, try it, Bill.
Yeah, well, I got my nephew's wife recommended some inserts from a company called Proctitis. So she said that she works in a hospital down in Fort Myers, and she said that a lot of the nurses and doctors who are on their feet a lot, they use those. So I got some of those coming in the mail. I'll try them out, and if that doesn't give me any relief, I'll definitely look at Paul's suggestion.
Okay.
I've had it, and it's really painful. At one time in my life, I was running 2,500 to 3,000 miles a year, and I had plantar fasciitis, and I do know how painful it is. So I am.
Oh yeah, it's awful.
I empathize. One other thing that you might want to look into, because I get a little neuropathy, especially when it gets cold, is steroid ointment. and topical steroid ointment, and that might be helpful too. It might be worth discussing that with your docs, that if you can just put the steroid ointment on, because it takes the inflammation out from the area where you apply it.
Yeah, just tonight someone mentioned basically a horse liniment. So
yeah,
you guys, most of you have probably heard of a Zorbine, like a Zorbine Junior. It used to be like a roll-on application, like a topical pain medication.
Mm-hmm.
I know. I heard about it when I was a kid. Not so much now, but yeah, it's a horse liniment made by a Zorbine, the same company. And someone said they used it, so give it a try.
Well, think about it, because some of you may think, oh, what the hell's this got to do with prostate cancer? Well, what it has to do is that it impinges on your weight management. And for many of you guys that are on this call, who most of you are on or have been on or will have to go back on ADT, and weight management is huge. And anything that gives you an excuse not to exercise and manage your weight is relevant to prostate cancer. So that I just want to make that tie-in, because I don't want people thinking, oh, what the heck are we talking about this for on this call? I think it's really, really important, because it's very easy to find reasons not to exercise, and we need to address what those are. Bill, did you do any water exercise when you were losing that 30 pounds?
Oh yeah, I swim almost daily.
Okay.
I have a pool in my backyard.
Okay. Okay. Well, that explains it. It's a little far from Bullington Beach, unfortunately. Otherwise, I'd see if I can arrange a gym membership for Paul. Okay, and I think Eric left us. He was on for a short period of time, then he left. He probably had something with his wife that came up. I hope. I will touch base with him and see how he's doing. All right, let's move on to John Schofield. John.
Thank you, Rick. Yeah, I'll try to be just very quick. I had HTR brachytherapy on September 7th, and then that was followed by 23 sessions of external beam radiation. This was at Princess Margaret in Toronto, and the external beam was to the prostate and the pelvic region, because I had a suspicious lymph node. And I'm on, of course, I started ADT back in around April, and I'll be on that for, it could be 2-3 years. They've told me it could be up to 3 years. Yeah, my PS, I had Gleason 8. I was originally diagnosed with Gleason 8. My PSA was around 40 before treatment, and thankfully now it's undetectable right now. And yeah, so that's everything went well. I've had some side effects. The most concerning to me has been, but I think it's pretty normal, is blood in the blood when I have bowel movements. I had quite a bit of that last week for some strange reason after that was, like over a month after finishing the treatment. This week it hasn't been quite as bad. So, but otherwise the side effects haven't had really any serious urinary side effects. And then even during the treatment, my energy wasn't too bad. I had some days where I was really knocked out, but overall it wasn't too bad. I attribute that partly to I have a naturopath that I go to, and he, getting back onto the supplement thing, he recommended a number of supplements to sort of help me reduce the side effects to some degree. during treatment. So I think they did help to some degree. And yeah, so far so good.
Did you exercise during the radiation?
I tried to. There were days that I just couldn't. But I at least, at the very least, I tried to walk as much as I could. Yeah. So I did try to maintain some level of activity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I recall through my radiation, there were days when I just didn't feel like doing anything. But if I could get myself to just go out and walk for 20 minutes, I felt way better.
Yeah. Well, even just I was able to take the subway to my treatments every day, so even just walking to the subway station, taking the subway, I think even that helped a little bit,
Right. So let me come back to the radiation proctitis, which is a subject, sadly, that's near and dear to my own heart. Kind of interesting that it started with you so quickly. I think in my case, I'm trying to remember. I had irritable bowel syndrome before I had any treatment, before I was diagnosed. So I knew that there was weakness there. I can't remember if it happened actually during the treatment, but it certainly happened relatively soon afterwards. And I was treated 10 years ago, and it still flares up. In fact, I had an episode in the last 3 or 4 days that was probably as bad as it's ever been.
Huh, wow.
The good news for me is that because the blood is so bright, it's like you cut yourself. I know where it's coming from, and I've actually seen it because when I've had a sigmoidoscopy and a colonoscopy, it's been pointed out the areas that are disturbed. There are a couple of issues related to that. One is that you do have to be really careful when you have a colonoscopy, because most of us have to get a colonoscopy every so often. And if you have radiation proctitis, you have to be really careful that the instruments don't cause a fistula, because that can be a real problem. A fistula means a hole in the rectum. So for a long time, my radiation oncologist didn't want me to have a colonoscopy, and then we sort of agreed that I could have a sigmoidoscopy, and then eventually last year I did get a colonoscopy. But I just want to give you a heads up on that, to be aware of it, and to discuss it with your doc. Secondly, whilst it's distressing, if the blood is really bright red like that, you know that it's coming from very low down, and you know what caused it. And when I talk to the docs, and I have 2 or 3 times, they usually say, well, look, we can cauterize and do something if you'd like us to do it. And they go in with some laser treatment and they cauterize and what have you. But they say, if it's not bothering you too much, it probably doesn't make a lot of difference, so you don't need to worry. It's up to you. And I decided not to do any more treatment. But I want to just say to you, John, don't expect it to clear up that quickly.
Okay.
It may not, and it may never clear up.
Okay. Do you have any pain with bowel movements?
Minimum, very occasionally. I've gotten to the point where I kind of recognize that something's not right, and I'm usually correct. And I wouldn't call it pain. I wouldn't even call it discomfort. It's almost like sort of a feeling. I can't even explain it. And most of the time I'm right. But I will say, like this week, where are we? We're on Monday. Probably Thursday, Friday, I was bleeding a lot. Probably the most since it's happened. But it's cleared up now. Today it's cleared up. So.
Interesting. Do you think it has anything to do with something you might have eaten, or?
Yeah, I do. I have a. I don't know for sure, but I think that when I eat more vegetables that turn into roughage, that may irritate it. But I'm not really sure, and I'm not going to stop because I like a lot of those vegetables, and they're good to eat.
Right.
But I do think that probably if you have the patience to record if you notice that you have an episode, it's probably worthwhile recording what you ate for a day or two before it.
Right.
Maybe a pattern in there. It's a really smart idea. Let me open it up.
Yeah.
Anyone else wrestled with radiation proctitis like this?
John, this is Peter. I'd be curious. Did they use any spacer or any kind of spacing gel, or did they consider it for you?
They did with the HDR brachytherapy, but not with the of course the external beam. I guess I don't know if there's much they can do with external beam.
Yeah, they can use the space gel with the external beam as well. But by the way, when I had mine, that product wasn't available.
Okay, I didn't know about that. I should have asked them, I guess. But yeah, my radiation oncologist certainly didn't mention it.
Yeah, thanks for raising it, Peter. Any other sufferers on this call?
This is Sylvester.
Yes, sir.
And back in 2005, I had radiation. And last month, I saw some blood in my urine. And my doctor took a scope and went through my penis.
Right.
And saw some redness.
Right.
And he attributed that to by having the radiation. But in addition, he scheduled me for get kidney stones to make sure my kidneys were operating correctly. And I did go and get that exam, which proved that there was nothing wrong with the kidneys.
Right.
So that was our conclusion, that it was the result of the radiation I had several years ago.
Right. Right. And the same thing happened to me, Sylvester. Probably a good 5 years after I had radiation, I started getting some radiation cystitis, and it was pretty minor. I mean, it wasn't heavy bleeding, but I could see something wasn't right. And I finished up I had a negotiation with my urologist, and in the end, he said, "Well, if it happens again, we're going to go in and we're going to look." And I said, "Okay," and it did, and they came to the same conclusion. It was just radiation cystitis. I should explain that radiation, because it damages the cells, not necessarily harshly, but affects these cells. It can take a long time to have an effect. So it just slowly eats away at the cells, and so the impact of radiation can take years to manifest. That's why I thought it was kind of interesting in John's case that that he had a response so quickly. But John, have you have you talked to the radiation oncologist about this bleeding?
I wasn't really having too much of it. I think I saw her just earlier this month, maybe a couple of weeks ago. Up until then, I wasn't really having too much of a problem with it. There occasionally, and she said, that was normal. And but then last week, it seemed to almost every time I had a bowel movement, I was getting blood.
Well, let them
I'm not scared. Yeah.
No, I mean that's what they're there for. Just let them know, and if they think it's anything that's urgent enough, they'll refer you to a GI doc.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. And what
has anyone had any? I have read that hyperbaric oxygen can help heal some of the side effects from radiation. Has anyone had any experience with that?
Well, Jim Cameron has. He's not on the call today, but Jim had significant issues around radiation damage to his bladder. And about a year or so ago, maybe a little longer, he went through a complete course of hyperbaric treatment. He did get some benefits out of it, but it seemed to be fairly short-lived because it came back. He also had significant detriments, and one of which was he finished up with cataracts. And cataracts are a side effect, and they were not disclosed to him.
Oh.
And, these guys that offer hyperbaric treatment don't tell you about what the hyperbaric chamber can do to other organs in your body. And so it was a problem. If you want to talk more about it, let me know, and I'd be happy to put you in touch with Jim directly. But it was an issue for Jim.
Okay. So it sounds, I spoke to a lady today about it at a center that offers it, and she said I would need a minimum of 10 treatments. It would probably work out to almost $1,000. It's not covered by our healthcare system. She said it helps some people, it doesn't help others. It kind of sounded like a crapshoot, and I wasn't really sure if it was worth spending $1,000. For something that might or might not help.
Well, I think the starting place is to go see it. If it's bothering you, I mean, do you have pain from this?
No, not. No, again, it's a little bit like what you were describing. There's the sensation sometimes. It might be a bit of a burning. Sometimes there's a little bit of discomfort when I'm actually, passing the stools, but it's not. It hasn't developed into any really serious pain.
Well, I think that my starting point would be a GI doc, and then to discuss with them about the hyperbaric treatment. But Jim had this treatment in March of this year. I'm just looking it up. And he had gone for years with significant issues surrounding bladder damage from the radiation, which he had in 2005. So,
right.
I wouldn't be too eager to jump in. And I'd also be asking him about some of the side effects, because they don't want to tell you about that too quickly.
Right.
Anyone else on
that was Jim. I missed his name, Rick. Was it Jim?
Cameron.
In the last.
Cameron.
Okay.
Well, this is Gary. I'm listening to all of this, and I'm thinking there's multiple ways to get radiation. is there something that's going to be safer that is not going to create these issues? I don't know if CyberKnife versus IMRT versus the proton beam. I don't know what other forms of radiation you can opt for, but I'm just wondering, what are the options here?
So let me just, as a point of information, CyberKnife is probably not that applicable unless the radiation damage is directly from radiation prostate, because you can only get radiation, you can only get CyberKnife for the gland. If you're going to have pelvic girdle radiation, then it has to be in smaller doses, smaller fractions. So having said that, the question is, what about the difference between IMRT and proton beam? And we really don't know. There's a head-to-head trial going on right now. It probably will report within a year or so. What we do know, provided you are not one of the proton beam proselytizers, because they don't necessarily acknowledge this, but the research suggests that the side effects to your GI tract are worse from proton beam, and the side effects to your rectum and anus are worse from IMRT. So I don't know that that there is more or less radiation damage from different types of radiation. I think a lot of it, as usual with this disease, depends on the man. I had weakness going in. I mean, I knew that my bowel was weak when I opted for the treatment, so I knew it was a risk. And I would say that that's the worst that I have to live with the rest of my life for managing my prostate cancer. I take it any day of the week. So I think if you've got a weakness there to begin with, Jeff, can you mute, please?
I'm muted him, Rick.
Thanks. So I think that these are all considerations when you're opting for your treatment. Anybody else want to weigh in on that one?
John, I'm assuming you've changed your diet. I mean, you're staying away from the spicy Canadian food, and you're just eating bland stuff. Because I mean, it takes a while for the intestinal tract to really heal once it's been stirred up, and diet has a lot to do with it. And I know it's sometimes, especially this time of year with parties and everything going on, it's a little tricky, but you got to make a concerted effort to eat.
Yeah, I'm trying to tone down the back bacon a little bit.
Yeah, those preserved meats are not the best, even though.
Right.
All right, well, let's keep moving along. I want to check in with Thibaut. Are you still with us, Thibaut?
Yeah, I'm here.
Good. Tell us what's going on with the search for a bone marrow donor.
Rick, before you go on, before you go on, I'm going to mute John Schofield and Jeff Ledoux. They're both making a lot of noise. That's where all this feedback's coming from.
Okay.
Sorry to interrupt.
Okay. Sorry, Thibaut. Go.
It's been 1 month since my laminectomy.
Yeah.
And it succeeded in eliminating the tingling sensation that I was getting from certain places. It created a numbness sensation in those many places. It also created pain, which is normal for a laminectomy. It's gradually getting better. It's been a month, and I'm still, taking narcotics, but not quite as much as before. I started radiation a couple days ago. They were going to make me wait until like 6 weeks after surgery to start with CyberKnife, and I found out it's just because there's a wait to use the machinery, and I have so many metastases in my spine, more than before the surgery, that I and the doctors all agreed that I should just get conventional radiation. So I switched to IMRT, and there's no wait for that. So I've been doing that for a few days, and I'm going to get it. Gives me a little bit of a sore throat. I figure by the time I'm done, it's going to be a major sore throat. So the doctor prescribed some magic mouthwash with lidocaine in it, which I'll use if I need it, so I can eat. They tell me they have selected a person to be my donor, and so now they just need to schedule all the various screening tests and stuff, and do some paperwork, and we should be able to start once once it's been 4 weeks after my radiation.
Oh wow, okay.
Hopefully we can do some screening, before that, and just actually start the bone marrow transplant at that point.
So let me just back up a little bit. So this IMRT for the spot radiation, you say, was causing you some issues around your head and neck?
That's right. After only one session, I could feel a sore throat starting, and then a day later it had faded. That was Saturday. No treatment that day. And after Sunday, I could feel it returning. And it's not bad right now, but the doctor says that it gets worse after all the sessions are done.
Where are you going for your IMRT?
Johns Hopkins.
Oh right, okay. And how'd you get there and back? Because you're in College Park, aren't you?
Yeah, it's a 40-minute drive.
Okay. Well, I mean, I'm glad to hear that they found a donor. And how do you feel about it now that it's the reality, Thibault?
Well, it's going to be the riskiest treatment I've ever had, but I still think it's my best chance at a durable remission.
Have you? Go ahead.
Other stuff after, assuming I'm alive.
Did they test any of the tumor tissue that they took out?
Not yet. I talked with Dr. Antonarakis about that last time I saw him, October 31st. I can't remember the details, but he sounded like he was planning on doing that.
So I listened this morning. Some of you may have seen, I know Jake saw it, I saw it, and Jake saw it independently. But some of you may have seen a Mike Scott post yesterday about a short lecture on Euro Today on genetic and genomic testing. and he recommended it, and I listened to it this morning. I thought it was pretty good. I linked it. I think I linked it on the website this morning. I can't remember. I planned to. I think I did. I also noticed, by the way, that a whole bunch of links that I put up on the website have disappeared. I must have wiped them out in error at some point. I'm sorry about that. I'll have to put them back in when I get some time. But the reason
I also posted it on Facebook, Rick.
You did. Thank you.
Excuse me. Yeah. Excuse me for interrupting.
So one of the things that this doc mentions, he's the chief of urology at Thomas Jefferson, and he's pretty well known. And by the way, guys, it's a good primer, because he's talking to a medical audience, but he dumbs it down enough that for most of you who have been listening to our groups for a while, the information will be quite familiar, and you can stop the cast at any time and read the slides and start it again. So you can absorb it. But what I wanted to say to Thibaut is that he gets into germline testing quite extensively in the second half. The whole thing's about just under 30 minutes long. And one of the points that he makes with germline testing is that it's the mutations in the BRCA gene or in the pathway of the BRCA gene are much more common in younger men with aggressive disease. And I can't remember what germline or somatic testing you've done, Thibaut, but if it were me, I would really want to get sequenced, both germline and somatic, sooner rather than later.
So germline is your body in general, and somatic is the tumor. Is that right?
Germline is what you've inherited.
Right.
What has come from previous generations into you. Somatic is what your tumor has made. Now, he doesn't talk about this, but your tumor can develop a BRCA mutation. More often than not, it's a germline mutation, but your tumor can develop its own BRCA mutation.
Yeah, I had the germline done, and I had the somatic for the prostatectomy tumor, and Dr. Antonaraka said he was planning on doing a test on the material from my laminectomy.
Okay, well, chase him up, because let's just say that they found a BRCA gene and that you were a candidate for a PARP inhibitor. If it were me, I would want to give that very careful consideration before I launched into a bone marrow transplant, if I was a candidate for a PARP inhibitor.
Yeah, that's a good point. I should ask him, which test he selected and when that's going to happen.
Yeah. All right. I'm just putting in this genetic lecture. I'm putting it into the chat window right now.
I already did it, Rick.
Oh, you did it. Thank you.
I already put it in there. Yeah, for anybody who's on the online.
Oh, right. Thank you very much. And by the way, guys, you have to sign up for Euro today. If you're not already there, it's free. It's very quick. It doesn't cost you anything. I guess that's what free means, doesn't it? But it's worthwhile. There's a lot of good stuff on Euro today. A lot of good stuff. So again, if you've got half hour to listen to it, a lot of you will be much more comfortable with many of the concepts that we discuss here when it comes to talking about germline and somatic testing. And as this doc says up front, he really thinks that this is the future of cancer treatment, and it's going to bring in some big changes over the next 3 or 4 years. He says that right up front. So I strongly recommend that. Thibaut, really, our thoughts are with you. We wish you the very best, but please don't sit on your hands with this testing, and you know, just it may show something. We don't know. Every day there are more and more drugs.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, Jeff Ledoux, you're up.
I'm here.
Good.
Can you hear me?
We can.
Okay. I went on Casodex again back in April. It did the same thing that it did for me the last time. Nothing. PSA kept going up. Finally, we went from 5.39 to 7.8, and my oncologist said, okay, we're going to put you on Zytiga. That PSA result was taken on Thursday last. It went from 7.8 to 8.34. So it's not looking real good, like it's doing me any good. We'll see. I'm sure that we're going to test insanity again, try and do the same thing with and expect a different result. Other than that, I feel good. I don't understand why this PSA keeps climbing. I'm working at it. I can get out and walk on the road, and it's getting cold up here. Do 2 miles in less than an hour. And that's rolling hills on the road. So I don't know what's going on. Like I mentioned earlier, I do have problems, particularly at night, with leg cramps. I've been fighting that with Tiger Balm and bananas. So I guess I'm becoming a monkey again. I don't know. Anybody got any ideas?
Well, I mean, one idea I have, if it were worth trying, is this ARV7 test to see if you are ARV7 positive. That might explain it. And the same time, Chuck Ryan said to me a couple of Wednesdays ago that they don't have as much confidence in the ARV7 test as they did. I don't think that's good news for Genomic Health, because Genomic Health is supposed to be introducing a commercial ARV7 test in January.
Well, the thing about the ARV7 test, they tried to do that with me once. I didn't have enough circulating tumor cells to run the test.
Right. So that's right. I recall that.
Yeah.
So, you know, at the same time, how long have you been on the Zytiga?
Just under 30 days.
Okay. Well, you know, they say you've got to give it 60 days, but I mean, I do know when they were testing whether 1,000 or 2,000 a day was right, the 1K, 2K test, guys that didn't come down after 30 days were deemed to have failed the test and taken out of the trial. So, you know, it may be that that it just isn't the right thing for you. Do you? When was the last time you had a bone scan?
3 months ago, 2 months ago.
Okay.
And everything was fine.
How was it?
No change.
No change.
No change.
Okay.
No additional mets or anything else. I could go back and look that up, but that's, you know.
So here's one thought. You know, maybe since you're not responding to the Zytiga or to the Xtandi, have you ever tried Xtandi or not?
No, Xtandi has not. In fact, what my oncologist said was he really would rather not use the Xtandi first he would rather go straight to Zytiga.
Okay, well,
I don't know why, but
I mean, they're either or.
But
they're either or, and sometimes for some men you can get a response out of Zytiga and not Xtandi, and for some Xtandi and not Zytiga. For some neither, and for some both.
I
mean, you know, Rob.
Well, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens in another month, because I'm sure he's going to keep me on it for another month.
Okay. But you know, it may be time to get your tumor sequenced.
Yeah. I need to do that if it's going to happen.
And so,
are you there?
I'm listening.
Okay.
So, you know, they have to find a spot where they can biopsy, or they can use blood. But in your case, maybe it's better to, since you already had that experience, and you know your PSA is a little higher, not a lot higher. But maybe it's time to think about getting that tumor sequenced.
Yeah. I do know, I understand that they still have the original tumor that they biopsied at the place where it was done. So that's a possibility.
Yeah,
I don't know if they would be willing to do another solid tumor biopsy or not.
Yeah,
I will broach that subject again.
Jeff, it's not really an option, because you don't want an old tumor sequenced. You want the most recent tumor sequence.
Yeah.
I mean, if that sample's 2 or 3 years old, it's not going to be current.
3 years.
But then you definitely don't want it. Don't even think about that.
Okay.
It's not an option. You need a recent sample. How are those? How
I'm not in disagreement.
Okay.
Believe it or not.
How's that atrial defib issue that you were having?
All right, that actually turned out to be okay. I opted for the cardioversion. They did that on the 6th of November, and I'm back in normal sinus rhythm.
So what was it they did?
Cardioversion. They shocked my heart.
Okay.
They put an electrode on the front and on the back, and then they hit me with 200 kilojoules of electricity and converted my rate back down to the 47 to 60 rate, and a good solid normal sinus rhythm.
Good. Good.
Yeah.
Good.
I felt very good about that.
Good. Anybody else want to? One other thing, just one thought. I mean, there are a couple of new drugs coming out which are supposed to be really good, and that soon to be approved. And Dr. Thomas should know about them, I'm sure. But a couple of second-line antiandrogens that specifically work for men that have failed enzalutamide or abiraterone.
Uh-huh.
One of them is the Pfizer one. I think it's ARN 509. I can't remember offhand, but there are a couple of these new ones coming out, and ask Thomas about them.
Okay.
But they're not.
Will do.
They're not yet. They seem to be having good results, and they should be on the market very, very soon. And they're specifically.
I was reading about one called Lynparza.
Yeah, that's a PARP inhibitor. That's something that you might want if your sequencing shows, but that's not a second line antiandrogen.
Okay.
I think you're talking about apalutamide, Rick. Is that the one?
Could be, yeah. What is that? What's the name on that one?
I think you're right. I think it's ARN 509 apalutamide.
Yeah.
APALUTAMIDE.
Yeah,
I
apalutamide.
believe that's the one you're.
Yeah, I think
I believe that's the one you're talking about.
Yeah, there are two. There's apalutamide and there's one other. I forget what it is, but I think it's the apalutamide that they're touting as being appropriate for men that have failed enzalutamide and abiraterone quickly.
Okay. Apalutamide.
APA-LUTAMIDE.
All right. Got it.
Anybody else want to say anything? It's a Janssen drug. And Janssen makes Zytiga.
Yep.
And then I think Pfizer has one too, but I forget what the name of it is off the top of my head. Okay. So if no one else has any suggestions for Jeff, anyone? It is the witching hour. We just passed 8 o'clock my time and later. So we will call it a night. And I wish everybody a very, very happy Thanksgiving. May you enjoy the time with family or whoever you spend it with. And
thank you, Rick, and a belated happy birthday.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that was this week.
Well, happy birthday, Rick.
Thanks.
Happy birthday, Rick.
Thank you, thank you.
Happy birthday. Good night, guys.
Good night. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
We'll see.
Happy birthday, Rick.
Everybody.
Speak to you
Thanks,
next
Rick.
Tuesday. Good night.
Happy Thanksgiving to everyone.
All the best. Good night, everybody.